evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nacho Cheese.
And my lovely name is Unctious. And we're getting into Game 3 of this epic TBT match going on in the Small Time Tournament, which I'm going to go ahead and let Nacho Cheese tell you a little bit about.
Small Time Tournament is just like it sounds, a small-time, small-scale tournament started by a Redditor by the name of Rabbitbot named Zen in StarCraft. He started this about a week ago, and the first tournament was a gold and platinum level tournament. This week's is a diamond and masters level tournament, and we have been seeing some great play from all of our players in this matchup. It is Game 3 in a best of 3. In the bottom left, spawning here as the pink Terran is Kamedience, and in the top right is Pewt, the purple Terran. Unctious, tell us a little bit about the first two games of the series.
I will tell you a little bit about the first two games of the series, which have been absolutely long and wild. They've been long macro games, both players trying to go forward and take as much of the map as they can. Now, Pewt, it looks like, has a knack for taking a lot of bases, macroing well enough to get his economy running very strongly. Where he lacks a little bit of skill, though, is at least he's been fumbling a little bit in these past couple games, is the fact that he hasn't been able to spend it all. Last game, he ended up on over 5,000 minerals by the time he won the match. Kamedience, on the other hand, has a knack for trying out interesting builds that will throw his opponent off his feet. Last game, we saw him open up with some ghost play, and he had those ghosts out early, trying to take advantage of nukes to the best of his ability. He just couldn't keep up with Pewt's macro at that point. So we are 1-1 right now, Kamedience having taken the first game, Pewt having taken the second game, and who knows where this series is going to go next.
I am excited to watch, and I'm sure Unctious is as well.
So excited!
So, while we're plodding through the kind of boring beginning parts of this game, I will give us a chance to plug ourselves. As I mentioned before, my name is Nacho Cheese. I am an amateur caster and basically an amateur player at StarCraft 2. My first time casting anything ever was last week at the first Small Time Tournament, and I've had a great time and really enjoyed it, and I was able to co-cast with Unctious, who is also a bit of an amateur caster. But you can watch my solo stream where I sometimes play some ladder games, sometimes play some custom games, and sometimes cast small-time tournaments. You can catch me at justin.tv/Ganon11. That's GANON11.
I, too, as he was saying, I am an amateur caster, an amateur player, and I think I have a newfound love for casting, something that I definitely want to pursue. So if you want to support me, if you like what I'm doing and you like to see me practice up, you can see me on my stream at justin.tv/UnctiousSC. If you want me to cast a few of your replays, you can send them to unctiousSC@gmail.com, and I might throw them up on my YouTube stream, which is youtube.com/unctioSC. But now it looks like we're moving into the game a little bit, and it looks like Kamedience is opting to take kind of an early command center, which is, well, really both players opting to take command centers as early as possible, which is kind of different for Kamedience at this point. I don't think up to this point we've seen those command centers coming down from him. That's definitely something that Pewt likes to opt to do a little bit more than Kamedience does.
Kamedience does have two Reapers on the field. He's not really pushing forward with them just yet. This one Reaper getting some exercise, just making sure, yep, jetpacks are still working and can still jump up and down cliffs. And now it looks like he'll be trying to push out with two more Reapers on the way for Kamedience. Now in the first game, we saw Pewt go for early Reapers, and so now Kamedience trying to give him a taste of his own medicine. He will be moving up and either scouting out or just seeing what's up. We'll have to follow these Reapers very diligently. They poke up, check the natural expansion, and they don't see anything, so they pull back, and I guess they're waiting for the support of these two extra Reapers. As we see Kamedience now transitioning into just Marines. So it looks like he'll be sticking with just these four Reapers, seeing what sort of harassment damage he can do, as he is now moving into the base of Pewt.
Now, Pewt has these Marines out out front, in a nice position to try to actually just take advantage of any Reapers that want to hop up right on this edge. And sadly enough, they decided to go towards the side edge. We're unable to jump up there with the command center up there, going to see these Marines, and are still going to go for it. That tank is trying to do a lot of damage, and almost three of those Reapers go down. And that is extremely dangerous for Kamedience, who lost a lot of minerals at first, doing absolutely zero damage to his opponent, who is going to be able to move this orbital command down any time now.
He got a couple shots off on that orbital command, but those will be easily repaired away. However, I think he may have done a slight amount of psychological damage because Pewt was slow to lift off that orbital command. Only now just moving it down, Kamedience was able to get his down the ramp just a little bit faster. He is getting workers transferred, and so that will put him just ever so slightly ahead in the economy. We also see that Kamedience has a 5 SCV lead, now a 6 SCV lead as the scouting SCV from Pewt was taken out. Mule's going down, just going to be able to bolster the mineral economy of both of these players, and I'm not really sure who I think is ahead, although Pewt is moving down with a fairly quickly timed force, 3 tanks and 7 Marines against a lot of Marines, and if these tanks get siege mode, which has just finished, this could be bad news for Kamedience, as he is forced to lift up that command center. All of these SCVs are going to go down. Great stutter step for Pewt is going to do a lot of damage. This supply depot getting taken down. You know what? Just because it's sitting there and Pewt wants to make sure it doesn't do anything malicious. Now these tanks are going to be sitting outside the base. A couple reinforcing units trickling in from the bottom. However, Kamedience is able to catch those tanks as they were reaching up, take out 3 of them, and clean up the Marine force. And now Pewt is going to want to pull his own reinforcements back. He does start rallying them back. A pretty nice defend by Kamedience. However, I think it put him behind. Yes, it did. He's about 200 minerals behind in the unit's loss tab, as he did lose all of those SCVs, and more importantly, he lost a lot of mules. That's a lot of energy from those orbital commands that was wasted because I don't think they made a single trip back to their command centers. So there's a lot of resources gone. Reaper going to be moving into the back of the main base here. I'm not sure. Pewt does not see this, and Kamedience does not really see anything too surprising, although he is moving in now, getting a spot that there is this starport and delay its progress for just a little bit. This Reaper is the one that only had 11 health earlier, and he will move in there and get a couple kills before being taken out by those Marines. Pretty good use of that Reaper, just sort of throwing it away, letting it do one less amount of good before.
I imagine that Reaper screaming Braveheart as it moved in to try to take out those SCVs. But it looks like because that Reaper got in there, I don't think that Kamedience knows about the 3 additional barracks that went down to Pewt, who's now supply block. And I think that is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit detrimental. But the fact that he doesn't know about those 3 barracks is going to be pretty big. Because now he doesn't have any more barracks going down for himself. He does have a starport, so it looks like he's on 4 racks, 1 factory, and 2 starports, and Cloaked Banshees are on the way, but it looks like Pewt knows about that a little bit. He has missile turrets down in each of his mineral lines. He's ready, he's prepared to take care of it, and we have a reactor going down in the starport, which means that we're probably going to see some medevacs come out of there to supplement this tank marine force that he has. But Kamedience did have those 4 barracks up way earlier than Pewt had his down, so he's been able to mass up quite a few Marauders, and it looks like a missile turret coming down for Kamedience as well. He is a little bit worried about Banshees, given that he did see that starport down, and I don't think he saw that reactor coming down. He might have just seen an add-on, if anything else. So he doesn't exactly know what that's going to be used for. There's a lot of guessing going on right now from both players. Scans are being used to the best of their ability, and it looks like Pewt is opting to go for this destructible rocks again. He really wants to take that gold expansion. He knows economy is his strong point, and that's what he's going to try to do the best he can with. If he can get a good economy, he knows he can roll over his opponent.
And if Pewt is able to secure this and get an orbital a planetary fortress ready that will give him a commanding lead both in economy and in map control. He is controlling both of these Xel'Naga towers, although Kamedience is going to be trying to challenge his right. That Marine trying to get out of there, but just a little bit too slow as the Marauder was able to use his concussive shells to take that out. And now Pewt's going to respond by trying to go and retake this tower, but little does he know this force has already moved out to try and take out the other Marines. It will, although it will be cleaned up by a superior force of Marines and tanks. We see Banshees with Cloak ready, moving around the outskirts of the map. However, they're not going to be able to do too much damage, as missile turrets are down at both the main and the natural, and finished at this third, which is not quite ready. These Banshees are going to move in here, try and do some damage, but he didn't cloak them, and so those Marines able to just take them out very easily. Look at this Marine, one health point. Clutch Marine, and now the medevac's going to come in here and make him feel a lot better. Can't imagine how good that feels. However, Kamedience is getting a drop ready. It will be spotted by Pewt's Marine. So Pewt really doing well with his map control, completely shutting down Kamedience. His third is now down, and he's opting to make it an orbital command, which will mean that it's going to be a lot more vulnerable, but he must trust his army composition and army size to be able to take this out. This drop is going to be going into the main. However, the force will be there to meet it. It's not going to be big enough, as there's a lot of Marauders in this force. He is forced to take all his Marines and tanks back to try and take this out. Those Marauders just doing a great job at being healed by those medevacs, able to do a lot more damage than really they should have been able to do, but finally getting taken out. One medevac going down, another one at about half health before being scared out of there. However, Pewt still in a pretty good position.
You know, I don't think you gave any credit to those medevacs. You said those Marauders did a great job of getting healed, but nothing went out for the medevacs. And I have to say, those medevacs did a great job of healing those Marauders. But it looks like Pewt's main base is nearly mined out, and this gold expansion is just coming up. Looks like there's 2 command centers on the way for Kamedience. I'm not exactly sure where he's going to get those down. He didn't take out the destructible rocks at his gold base, and like you said, Pewt just has great map control right now. He has a Marine at each of the possible places. It looks like we have a cloaked Banshee moving in around the side of the map from Kamedience, and he's kind of wasting his cloak right now. It's kind of sitting there not doing anything. But as I was saying, Pewt has wonderful map control. He has Marine at each of the expansions that can be taken. He has view over nearly the entire map, and those Xel'Naga watchtowers are being held as well. And in this state, he can just go ahead and macro up, because he knows he doesn't see anything going out. Now, it looks like Kamedience is going to worry about these hostile supply depots behind Pewt's base. One goes down, that supply depot is not going to do anything else to disrupt Kamedience's economy.
Another Banshee in the main, trying to take out that reactor, but a lot of SCVs pulled off the line to take it out, and the Banshee is also taken out. However, we've been talking about how Pewt's in such a good position, but what I'm looking at now is the supply count. Kamedience has about 40 food advantage over Pewt, and Pewt, because he lost the supply depot in the back, is supply blocked. So now there's a large Marine Marauder force moving out to the center, and again, because Pewt opted for that orbital command for an economy instead of planetary fortress, he does not have a great defense against this. However, if he can see just these tanks, and he could get a lot of good hits in. 5 tanks able to take out 1, 2 shots against this army. Do a lot of damage. Those medevacs have a lot of energy, and will be able to kill this army if they stay still. However, this is a large army, and it's outmaneuvering the tanks as they are stuck on the left or the right side of that divide. And he is able to move in. Will he be able to snipe the orbital command? I don't think so, as Pewt is able to reinforce just in time to get those tanks reached up, do a lot of damage against Kamedience's army. And something else, this happened in the last game too. Pewt has 2-2 upgrades on his infantry. He has 3-3 on the way. Comparing that to Kamedience's 2-1, Pewt is just able to upgrade his opponent. He did get a little bit outmaneuvered there, but I was just pointing out the food difference. Kamedience was about 40 food ahead. Now he's only about 15 food ahead. And let's take a look at the unit counting station. A little bit of that is SCVs. So Kamedience not in as great a position as I thought he may have been. Pewt, now that he has these tanks sieged up in the middle, is regaining that map control that he lost by choosing an orbital command. And we will have to see how this game continues, whether Pewt will be able to finish his momentum from Game 2 and go ahead and win this series and move on to the semifinals, or whether Kamedience will be able to have a repeat of Game 1 and move on to the semifinals.
Kamedience is moving in with some close Banshees. Two scans now wasted from Pewt, who was able to clean up those Banshees rather quickly. And all of these, it looks like all of these SCVs have taken the long route to go back to, from that gold base to the orbital command right next to it. So we have a big force moving out towards the middle. Tanks are up, but this planetary fortress is going to be just taken out, raptured by these tanks. A few Marines and Marauders coming forward. All the Marines and Marauders is now stimming forward, going to try to do as much damage as they can. But in the meantime, these tanks will be able to take out the planetary fortress. Now it's firing at the Marauders that are right in front of them, able to take out everything, but one tank does go down. Reinforcements coming in, both Marines and Marauders. But there's not much they can do. They cannot get in range of those Marines while Pewt has those tanks up exactly where they need to go.
Huge amount of Marines reinforcing for Pewt, as he does have an insane amount of barracks already set up. And now it looks like Pewt's going to be rolling over what little forces Kamedience has left. If you look up at the food counting station, Pewt has regained the lead. He is moving down, able to outmaneuver the small force of Marines and Marauders. Although the Marauders will load up in that bunker and scare off all of those Marines, forcing another scan to take out those Banshees. Again, another slugfest going back and forth. These tanks are sieged up, going to take out this Marauder before they really do any damage, but one tank does go down. That Marauder was just screaming, "For Gondor!" and he ran in there and took out that tank. It was doing good amount of damage before he died. However, not seen enough. He's rolling in here, he's taking out the National Expansion, moving in here, taking out the Tech Lab on that barracks, taking out any reinforcements trying to come up, taking out an SCV that looks like it's stuck behind there, moving up the ramp, seeing all of these barracks and saying, "Hey, you know what kills barracks? Marine." And there's the GG from Kamedience. Pewt able to come back, losing the first game to win this series 2-1. He'll be moving on to the semifinals. Kamedience, thanks so much for playing this great series. We'll be casting the semifinals in a few minutes. Until then, I am Nacho Cheese.
And I'm Unctuous, and we're going to see you after this break as we move into the semifinals.